Better to have a short life that is full of what you like doing than a long life spent in a miserable way.
Welcome back. Today we're talking about emotional energy and how that has an effect on our body. Did you know that the Center for Disease Prevention and Control in the United States of America has said that over 85% of diseases have an emotional basis? 85% of diseases come from your emotions. Now, what does that mean for us in our lives? We know that the human body is a cluster of vibrating cells, vibrating very close together in what is creating for us the illusion of solidity, density, and mass. And this has the effect of making us think that frequencies don't have any effect on us. But in fact, they do. We know for sure that the emotional energy that we feel, we can ratify this for ourselves experientially when we're angry or sad or feeling anxiety, has a profound effect on our bodies. Now, this has been verified scientifically as well. We know that even at the subatomic level, stress affects our cells. So what does this mean for us? We need to work out how to manage stress. In fact, a definition of stress is the perceived, real or imagined threat to our well-being. So we could almost say that the opposite of stress is well-being. So we need to try and find ways to pursue an agenda for ourselves that is well-being. So that means focusing on things like getting enough sleep, getting sunshine in the morning. You might notice puppy dogs do this. They go out for a little sunbake in the morning to get their vitamin D, eating good foods. But obviously, going back to that data from the CDC, obviously one of the major things that we can do for our well-being is to look after our emotional energy. 85% of disease caused by emotional stress or strain. So now that we've established that, we need to look at our emotional energy. So how do we heal emotional trauma? As we know that when we have emotional issues, it gets stored in our body. We know that we tense up when we're stressed in our shoulders. We know anxiety produces heart palpitations. How do we get these kind of stored emotional issues out of our body? Now, the traditional way has always been for thousands of years to receive energetic healing. So in energetic healing, within this kind of realm, we could say things like yoga, fantastic for releasing stored energy. Reiki, another fantastic way to release stored energy. Acupuncture, massage, frequency healing, such as that balances our chakras. So working with crystals, working with sound healing, working with color healing to match each chakra, to release and to balance each chakra out. All of those things are going to be beneficial for us. But we must remember, the thing that keeps surprising me is that people think that they can do all of this stuff to their body and not have a physical response when they're healing it. And that's just bonkers. Of course, we're going to have a physical response when we're healing our bodies from these things. I mean, if you think of all of the alcohol you've drunk, all of the drugs that you've taken, both legal and non-legal, all of the emotional trauma that you've been through, even if you've had a pretty good life, you might have had divorced parents, you might have been bullied at school, you might have lost a loved one like a grandmother, or, these are just kind of basic things that we experience in our lives, but they have a deep and profound effect on our body, and they are stored cellularly, and unless we work through these, they stay stored in our body, and they have a negative effect on our well-being, on our physical well-being. So we need to try and get rid of them. One of the funny things that I think is that we're also going through collectively a profound and massive spiritual upgrade. Every person on the planet and the planet itself are upgrading spiritually. Now, whether or not this means anything to you, this means awakening Kundalini energy in our body, or Chi energy in our body. And the process of Kundalini rising in our body means that it clears through each chakra right down the bottom of our bodies, right up to the top, connecting us to source at the crown chakra. But when it does this, there are physical effects. It is cleaning out the physical garbage that we've stored in each chakra. So, for example, I struggle myself with irritable bowel syndrome for 5 years, a very long, painful, bloated, and difficult time. However, I now know, looking back, that I was clearing out my sacral chakra. Now, this is something that many people are experiencing. Guess what? When we clear out our sacral chakra, when we have these stomach and digestive issues, we're forced to address our diet. And so this is having a spiritual effect on us, whether we are conscious of it or not. So people start eating healthy vegetables. They want organic. They want natural. They don't want processed. They're trying to give their body the raw, basic whole food treatment that it's telling them that it needs. Now, this is a spiritual upgrade. So whether or not you are struggling with a tummy issue, what you're actually going through is a chakra issue as well. So it might be a good just little thing to note for yourself to Google, look up. And it's something that I went through myself. So I can speak from experience, very painful, bloated experience, that it is difficult, but you will get through it. And part of what you're meant to be going through is upgrading spirituality as well. So dealing with all of the issues of that chakra is about safety, security, releasing repressed memories, and finding your place in the world. Now, the energy goes through each chakra, and there's a physical response for each chakra, and that's something that you can Google at your leisure, or perhaps we will talk about it later. But one of the things that I just want to reiterate is that you can't get through any healing like this without having a physical response. I recently went to Brazil to see medium João John of God again for the second time. However, I have done many distant healings with the energy there, and I've probably done 10 in the last 6 years. And each time I've felt profound physical changes occur. Some of the bizarre things that have occurred to me over the last 5 years, and bearing in mind I've been combining this with the stressors of being pregnant twice, giving birth twice, and breastfeeding for 2 of those years. So the combined effect of all of this stress on my body has been crazy, but I've gotten through it, and you will too. But I've had tachycardia, which is increased heartbeat. I've had brachicardia, which is decreased heartbeat. I've had the inability to breathe quickly. So when I'm running along, my body has not been able to catch up and breathe, at a rapid rate. I've had the inability to breathe slowly. So sometimes I've had to breathe fast. What a yogic would call breath of fire. I've had to go and then do these really deep breaths to get enough oxygen into my body, because it just seems to want a lot more oxygen. I've had the IBS, which I mentioned. I've had intense eye stuff, visual stuff going on, not being able to look at at bright lights, not being able to look at screens. I've had really intense auditory stuff going on. So my ability to hear has profoundly increased, but that means that I've been able to hear things like electrical appliances, Wi-Fi. Even now I can see flickering of the light above me, which is driving me crazy. So I'm just able to perceive things much more than I used to. I am much more sensitive than I used to be. And this may happen to you too. But guess what? I thought at first that was going to be a horrible thing. But in fact, I'm also sensitive to all of these beautiful things. I can feel the chi energy in my body when I say prayers over children. I can feel the energy of crystals when I hold them. I can see vibrating matrices around trees and flowers out in nature. Just this beautiful world is opening up. And so although you will have physical effects as a process of dealing with the release of emotional energy in your body, this is a spiritual upgrade, and you have to have these physical effects. You have to release all this crap. You have to feel it in order to deal with it. That is just all there is to it. But having gone through this myself, I can just tell you it is worth it. Do it, go through it. Seek energy healing in whatever format works for you. We've outlined some earlier. and embrace the change, because it's an incredibly exciting time in our lives. And I believe that we signed up to be here at this time to help this process through and to help planetary evolution occur. And I just think it's so exciting. So, in lak'ech alakin. Till next time.
And forget the money. Because if you say that getting the money is the most important thing, you will spend your life completely wasting your time. You'll be doing things you don't like doing in order to go on living, that is, to go on doing things you don't like doing, which is stupid. Better to have a short life that is full of what you like doing than a long life spent in a miserable way.